Today's episode goes into the real beginning of my fall. The shift from social drinking into survival drinking, the moments I ignored, the lies I told myself, and the way my life slowly started slipping out of my own hands. I'm talking about addiction, shame, denial, trauma, and the parts of my story that aren't pretty but are necessary. Before we get into this, I want to say something clearly. This podcast is my story, my lived experience with addiction, recovery, trauma, and healing. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor. Nothing here is meant to be medical advice. If you're struggling, please reach out to a licensed professional or local support resources. You deserve real help. You deserve real support. I also want to offer a trigger warning. In this episode and throughout this season, I'll be talking about addiction, emotional abuse, mental health struggles, and moments of deep personal pain. If today is a heavy day for you, or you need to take breaks, please do. Your well-being comes first. Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Is it time to let go of what I know? Whoa. All of this is just a bliss, just a bliss. Am I missed? The time is gone. No more comfort. No more tears. Whoa. Shooting stars. Shooting stars. It's all I'm near. All I'm near. When did I get here? No one knows. No one knows.
Alright, before we get into this thing, let me just say this. In true Ashley-ass fashion, this episode took way longer than it should have. I had every intention of recording it weeks ago, but you know how life does. It shows up with muddy boots, kicks in the door, and suddenly you're over here triaging chaos instead of doing the thing that actually matters to you. But that's life though. Life never fails to show up. And honestly, half the time it doesn't even knock. But the gag is, we get to show up too. Messy, late, overwhelmed, teeth unbrushed, dishes plotting a mutiny in the sink, still showing up. And that's what this podcast is. Not polished, not curated, not let me pretend I'm thriving for the camera. It's real, it's chaotic, it's vulnerable and raw, and sometimes inappropriate as hell. It's me, tired, tender, cussing under my breath, trying my best to tell the truth. Some days life is warm and soft and generous. Other days it's me crying in the kitchen because I dropped a fucking fork. Some days I'm holy and other days I'm held together by caffeine and audacity. That's the reality, and that's exactly what you're getting here. My name is Ashley, and this podcast is about what it means to live a life that is equal parts pain and pleasure. This is for the people who don't even know what healing looks like anymore, because your heart's been cracked open and your soul's been sucker punched so many times that you stop counting. It's for the ones who are tired of performing, tired of pretending, tired of carrying everything in silence because you don't want to scare the people around you. Let me keep it a buck. I hit rock bottom. Not some inspirational Pinterest version. I mean real bottom. Basement level, lights off, how the fuck did I get here bottom? I let it almost take me out. And I didn't even realize how deep I was until the moment I couldn't lie to myself anymore. Yeah, I can make jokes. Yeah, I can drop some wisdom, but don't get it twisted. I've seen some shit. I've been in pain so deep it didn't even feel like pain anymore. It felt like drowning. I was smiling, raising kids, sending emails, and quietly wondering how much longer I could keep pretending I was okay. I've laid in bed asking myself if anybody would miss me if I just stopped trying. I've begged God to make the noise in my head shut the hell up. I've hidden bottles in purses, cabinets, and behind cereal boxes just to make it through the day without falling apart in front of everybody. I've been the strong one, the funny one, the dependable one, the one who gets shit done. And I was dying. Quietly, slowly, every damn day. I neglected my own body. I fed every demon I should have starved. And I numbed every emotion that needed to be heard. I chased people who didn't love me back, begged for scraps, and called it connection. I called it love when it was really me bleeding out and trying to pretend it was a hug. And the scariest part, nobody could tell. I was drowning and everybody thought I was just in the deep end having fun. That's the fall. It's not cinematic, it's not poetic, it's fast, it's brutal, and when you've hit rock bottom, you don't bounce, you splatter. But here's the thing, splattering ain't the end, it's the beginning. Because once everything breaks apart, you finally get to build something new, something real, something honest as hell. And that's why I created Uncuffed. Because I got tired of shrinking my story down so it wouldn't make anyone uncomfortable. I got tired of being inspirational before I even fucking healed. I needed a space where I could show up with my mascara smeared and my past still screaming in the background and not feel like I had to apologize for it. Uncuffed is a place I wish existed when I felt trapped inside myself. It's for the ones who feel too damn much, for the ones rebuilding in silence, for the ones who've made mistakes, and the ones swimming in the consequences. For the moms crying in the car, for the addicts who don't know where to start, for the ones who just got sober and are standing there like, now what? It's for the people who are trying and the people who aren't sure they can. It's for the ones who've lost themselves and want to come home. This isn't a TED Talk. This isn't a self-help seminar. I'm not your guru and I'm not handing out miracle steps. This is a testimony, a war cry, a messy love letter from someone who survived their own bullshit. Someone who's still healing, but someone who's done hiding. If you've ever felt alone in your pain, welcome. If you've ever felt like you were too much, welcome. If you've ever felt like you weren't enough, welcome. This is Uncuffed, the collective, and babe, you're home now. You know how in movies or on TV, rock bottom is always some big event? Somebody crashes their car, gets arrested, loses their job, or the state comes in and takes their kids. It's loud, obvious. Everyone watching knows that's it. They've hit rock bottom. Yeah, mine didn't look like that. Mine was quiet. It was me on the shower floor, water running, head spinning, heart racing, and realizing I can't keep doing this. I wasn't drinking to have fun anymore. I wasn't even drinking to feel good. I was drinking to stop the shaking, to stop the panic in my body when the alcohol wore off. Most people don't understand that part. You drink just to feel normal, and then one day it stops working. That's what happened to me. My brain felt like it was full of fog. I wasn't drunk, I was drowning in my own toxins. I'd drink to calm the withdrawals, but instead I'd feel confused, heavy, like my body couldn't keep up. I didn't know it at the time, but my liver was done. It couldn't process what I was putting into it anymore, and all those toxins were just sitting in my blood. That's when things start getting dangerous. Your brain can swell, your thoughts slow down, and your body starts breaking down one system at a time. And yeah, I'm an alcoholic with abandonment issues, depression, bipolar disorder, a high IQ, and the curse of overthinking everything. It's a cocktail I wouldn't wish on anybody. My body was falling apart, and my mind wouldn't shut up long enough to let me rest. When you try to stop cold turkey, it gets even worse. Your heart pounds, your hands shake, you sweat through your clothes, you can't eat, you hallucinate. Your body thinks it's dying, and sometimes it's right. People die trying to quit that way. You drink to stop the withdrawal, but the drinking keeps you sick. So there I was, laying on that shower floor, crying so hard I couldn't tell what was water and what were tears. I wasn't asking God to make me better. I was asking Him to help me stop existing like this. I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live like that either. And that's when I knew I couldn't fix it. I couldn't outwork it. I couldn't outsmart it. I had lost control completely. I went from high functioning to barely functioning so fast it didn't even feel real. I couldn't work. I couldn't show up for my kids. I was just disappearing. That was my rock bottom. Not some big crash or public disaster. It was that quiet, awful moment where I finally said, I can't do this anymore. And honestly, that was the first real truth I'd spoken in a long time. All right, let's get personal because I didn't go from zero to survival drinking overnight. It started normal, like normal by our standards anyway. In the beginning, drinking was fun. It was girls' nights, brunches, the let's unwind after work type of stuff. It was ordering a cocktail because everyone else was ordering one, laughing, vibing, feeling like the world was a little softer on the edges. And honestly, I loved that part. There was nothing wrong with it. Then came the work functions, the conferences, the happy hours where everybody's pretending the wine is for networking when really it's to ease the awkward small talk. I'd grab a drink because it made me more relaxed, more social, more whatever version of me felt easier to present. So, yeah, I drank socially like most adults I knew. And then COVID rolled in like a wrecking ball none of us asked for. And it was like, there's nothing else to do and I can't go anywhere, so why not have a drink? And the memes made it funny, like the quarantinis and day drinking because time isn't real. Like, when you go to the airport and it's perfectly acceptable to have a drink while waiting on a 7 a.m. flight. That was the life. Like constant vacation. It felt harmless. Except for me, it wasn't. Because right in the middle of all that, the man I'd been with for 12 years left me. And while I was locked inside my house, he was outside starting a new relationship. That pain, that silence, that'll break something in you. There's a specific kind of pain that comes from feeling abandoned while you're already isolated. And instead of dealing with that loss, with the trauma and the shock of a relationship ending like that, I poured another drink just to take the edge off. Except the edge never went away. I just blurred it again and again. My drinking became less about celebrating and more about coping. Less about having fun and more about silencing the screaming in my own head. Because when the world shut down and he left, alcohol slid right into the empty space and said, Hey girl, I can keep you company. And I believed it. And then somewhere along the way, alcohol also became my courage, my personality booster, my social lubricant. I had gotten to the place where I wanted to be both so blank that I no longer felt sad about him, and I also wanted other men to notice me like I was silently punishing him. And the best way to accomplish this? Go out, get drunk. Because drunk Ashley didn't give a fuck about anything, good or bad. But then suddenly, drinking wasn't social anymore. It was just what I did to fill the silence. I was drinking to escape me, to mute the pain I didn't have the energy to process, to shut the door on feelings I didn't want to face. You see, social drinking is a suggestion. Survival drinking is a requirement. And let me be for real. I felt the shift happening way before I admitted it. I could feel it. It's like my soul tapped me on the shoulder like, "Girl, is this what we're doing?" And I was like, "Yep, mind your business." And then I kept telling myself, It's just stress, it's COVID, it's the breakup, it's temporary. But temporary things have a funny way of becoming your lifestyle when you're not paying attention. Because, baby, when you need alcohol to feel normal, when you're counting down the hours until you can have a drink, or you have to make sure you have enough in case you wake up at 3 a.m. shaking, or you freak out because you have to go somewhere that's alcohol free, that kind of panic changes you. It makes alcohol feel like oxygen. When you start bargaining, like, okay, just one today, okay, maybe two, okay, fuck it, we already started. When you're planning your day around when and how you'll be able to drink, you're not drinking socially anymore. You're drinking to survive. And sometimes you never see it coming. I mean, seriously, I didn't wake up one day and decide, hey, let me just go ruin my liver real quick. It was a slow slide. At first, it's like you're taking the elevator down one floor, no big deal. But addiction? Addiction hit that lobby button and suddenly you realize you've been dropping for a long ass time. And the elevator music is playing, but you don't even like the song anymore. And that's when everything around you starts to bend. Your routines, your mood, your health, your relationships, your boundaries, your standards, everything becomes negotiable except the drink. People don't talk about this enough. It's not the big dramatic moments that tell you you've crossed that line. It's the quiet ones. It's the way you start planning your day around the bottle. It's the way you pretend you're fine at 10 a.m. when your body is begging you for 8 p.m. It's the way you feel when the buzz fades and the real world hits you in the chest like a brick. Looking back now, the craziest part isn't how much I drank. It's how much time I spent managing my drinking. It became a full-time job. Every errand, every trip, every event revolved around one question: how can I drink there? And that's how it happened. Not overnight. Not in some dramatic movie style spiral. Just 1,000 small choices that felt normal until they weren't. Survival drinking is lonely. It's dark, it's unspoken, and it's dangerous because it masquerades as normal for way too long. But here's the thing: I don't hate the version of me who slid into that. She wasn't weak. She wasn't wounded. She wasn't reckless. She was exhausted. She wasn't choosing alcohol. She was choosing anything that made the pain quieter. And that's the part people forget. You don't get addicted because you're broken. You get addicted because you're trying to feel whole. But we're going to get into the turning point, the moment where survival drinking stopped working, where the cracks got too big to ignore, and the truth started showing up whether I wanted it or not. Let me tell you something about this phase of my life. I was fully convinced I had my shit together. I mean, truly. I thought I was juggling fire, trauma, and whiskey like some kind of circus act nobody asked me to perform. Just walking around saying, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm handling it. Except I wasn't handling a damn thing. I was just getting really good at pretending I was. That's the wild part about trying to stay ignorant, but also act like you're the one in control. It sounds impossible, but I was committed. I was out here mentally auditioning for the Olympics of denial because I wanted that gold medal in everything is totally fine. And yes, something was wrong. I wasn't clueless. My body was screaming at me. My spirit was tapped out. My family had that look. You know the one where they're trying to be gentle, but their eyes are basically saying, baby, this ain't it. And I still shrugged it all off like lint on my shirt. I kept telling myself, I'm just tired, like that explained everything. But the truth is, I was tired, stressed, spiraling, hurting, avoiding, and doing everything in my power not to admit any of it. Because admitting it meant I'd actually have to deal with it. And I wasn't ready to deal with shit. I barely had the energy to get through the day, let alone unpack years of pain and choices I didn't even want to look at. So I kept feeding myself those tired ass excuses. I'm overwhelmed. It's been a lot lately. It's just a rough patch. Girl, that rough patch lasted longer than some relationships. And honestly, I really thought I had boundaries. I would say things like, I only drink at home, as if that was some moral high ground. No, ma'am. That's not a boundary. That's just where the chaos happened to live. Same thing with the I can stop whenever I want. I told myself that all the time, even though I never actually did. But did that stop me from believing the lie? Of course not. Most mornings turned into negotiations with myself. Full hostage situation. I'd swear I wasn't drinking until after 5, and then suddenly 5 o'clock looked like 4, and 4 slid into 3, and by the time I realized it, I was already pouring whiskey like I was hosting a brunch nobody else was invited to. But here's the part that's hard to admit. Pretending felt easier than facing myself. It felt easier to stay numb than to sit still with the truth. And I didn't know how to live sober anymore. I didn't even remember what that version of me felt like. Meanwhile, Control had left the chat a long time ago, and I was still out here trying to answer messages for it like, yep, everything's under control, when Control wasn't even in the building. And my ego, oh, she was loud. She kept hyping me up like a toxic best friend. You're strong. You're fine. You've been through worse. Except her pep talks were literally guiding me straight off cliffs. And night after night, when the buzz faded and things got quiet, the truth would come creeping out. Like, hey babe, yeah, we still gotta deal with this. And I'd roll my eyes at my own damn reality because it was rude and persistent and honestly just inconvenient. Trying to stay ignorant yet act like you're steering the wheel is exhausting. It's like trying to run with your shoelaces tied together. You can focus real hard and stay upright for a little bit, but eventually you're face down on the pavement wondering how you got there. And at that point in my life, I could feel the fall coming. I wasn't on the ground yet, but I knew damn well I was going down. You know how you can ignore something for so long that it starts ignoring you back? That's what it felt like when the cracks started showing. My life had been whispering at me for a minute, like, hey girl, something's off. And I just kept turning the volume down, like, nope, not today. But cracks don't stay quiet. They get bold, they spread, they show up in places you can't hide with makeup, good lighting, or a cute Instagram caption. At first, it was the little things, forgetting conversations, missing details the kids told me, snapping over nothing because my body was exhausted. Everything felt slow and foggy, like my brain was trying to walk through wet cement. Then it started showing up physically, the bloating, the nausea, waking up feeling like my organs had been set on fire. The yellowish tint I swore was just the lighting. All these signs I dismissed because I didn't want to deal with what they meant. And then my period. Baby, when I tell you that shit went from a normal cycle to a straight up biblical plague, it would not stop. I'm talking weeks, then more weeks. Pads, tampons, everything. Like, my body was out here throwing red flags, both literally and figuratively. And the wild part, I still tried to act like I was fine. Like it was just stress, like it was one of those months. But deep down, I knew my blood wasn't clotting because my liver was waving a giant neon sign saying, we are not okay. I'd be in the bathroom thinking, ain't no way this is normal. And then I'd walk right back out and pretend everything was totally manageable, like I wasn't bleeding nonstop. Like that wasn't a whole ass medical emergency. But that's what survival mode does. You start normalizing things that are absolutely not normal. You start like rationalizing things that don't need to be rationalized. Like, I've always had bad periods. My mom had bad periods. Bad periods run in our family. No, ma'am. It's one thing to have a bad period, but To use an ultra-sized tampon and then 30 seconds later need to change it again or you're gushing all over yourself, yeah, that's not normal. That is not just a bad period. That is literally your body being like, girl, we cannot do this anymore. We are dying. Emotionally, I was held together with grocery store tape. You know, the cheap kind that peels up at the corners? I'd have these moments where everything inside of me just fell off. Heavy, glitchy, out of place. And I'd just push through like I always did. Throw on a clean shirt, get the kids fed, answer work emails, and pretend the crack running straight through the middle of me wasn't getting whiter by the day. But pretending only works until it doesn't. And when I looked in the mirror, really looked, I could see it. The exhaustion, the swelling, the fear I kept swallowing down just to make it through the day. And the hardest part wasn't the bleeding, or the bloating, or the nausea, or even the yellow tint. It was how normal it had all started to feel. How I had lowered my expectations of myself so much that I was willing to bleed for weeks and still say I'm fine. Because the truth was, I wasn't fine. The cracks weren't just cracks anymore. They were warnings. My body was screaming, my spirit was tired, my life was folding in on itself, and I couldn't keep pretending it was all just a phase. Once those cracks showed themselves, really showed themselves, there was no one seeing it. It was the beginning of the end of the life I was clinging to, and the beginning of the life I didn't know I needed yet. There is a very specific kind of silence that hits you right before your truth comes out. And it's not peaceful. It's the kind of silence that feels like the whole room is holding its breath, waiting to see if you'll finally admit what you already know. For a long time, I thought I was protecting myself by keeping everything bottled up. The fear, the pain, the exhaustion. I convinced myself that saying it out loud somehow made it more real, and I wasn't ready for real. I wanted control, even if it was fake as hell. But the thing about the truth is, it doesn't stay quiet just because you refuse to talk about it. It started slipping out in moments I didn't plan for. I'd be talking to someone and feel my voice crack at a simple question. I'd be trying to joke around and feel this heavy lump in my throat that had nothing to do with laughter. I'd be driving alone and suddenly have to pull over because I felt this wave of panic hit me out of nowhere. My truth was leaking through every crack I had tried to patch, and I could feel it. And the truth wasn't complicated. It wasn't poetic. It wasn't even dramatic. It was simple as hell. I wasn't okay, and I hadn't been okay for a long time. I had been so focused on surviving that I didn't even realize how far removed I was from actually living. I'd been wearing this mask of I'm fine so long that it felt like a second skin, but underneath it, I was falling apart. The truth was sitting right under my ribs like a damn brick, pressing on my lungs every time I tried to breathe. And the scariest part? It wasn't facing other people's reactions. It was facing my own. Because once you admit the truth, even in your head, even quietly, it changes everything. You can't go back to pretending. You can't go back to the same patterns. You can't unknow what you know. For me, the truth hit in a moment where I finally looked at myself without flinching. No makeup, no excuses, no filter, no performance. Just me and the reality I'd been outrunning. And it pissed me off, honestly. I was mad that I let myself get this far. I was mad that I had ignored every sign. I was mad that I had pushed myself to the edge and then acted shocked that I was staring into a damn cliff. But underneath that anger was something I didn't expect. Relief. Relief that I didn't have to keep lying. Relief that I didn't have to keep pretending. Relief that I could finally stop holding all of this shit alone. The truth wasn't there to embarrass me or expose me. It was there to free me. It was the part of me saying, "Girl, you're drowning. Grab the damn rope." And for the first time, I didn't argue. I didn't negotiate. I didn't try to make excuses for the mess. I finally told myself the truth. And of course, that moment didn't fix everything, but it did change everything. Because once you admit you're not okay, that's when you can finally start fighting for the version of you who deserves to be. If this episode felt heavy, good. It was supposed to. Because this season isn't about polishing anything up or making it pretty. It's about digging into the stuff most people avoid. The shit we survive, the shit we hide, and the shit we heal from, even when it's ugly as hell. This season, I'm not giving you some Instagram version of redemption. I'm giving you the truth. We're talking rock bottom, addiction, heartbreak, trauma, the nights I barely made it through, the mornings I didn't think I deserved, the family patterns that shaped me, the choices that almost broke me, and the people who picked up the pieces when I couldn't. I'm talking about my mom, my kids, my health, my recovery, my faith, my fuck-ups, my healing, all of it. And I'm not telling it because I want sympathy. I'm telling it because I know damn well someone out there is sitting in their own mess thinking they're alone. And baby, you are not. If my voice does anything this season, I hope it reminds you that surviving doesn't make you broken. It makes you dangerous. It makes you wise. It makes you a threat to every version of yourself that tried to hold you down. You're going to hear the moments that destroyed me and the moments that rebuilt me. You're going to see how generational patterns show up like ghosts. You're going to hear how I got sick, how I got sober, how I learned to love my damn self, and how I clawed my way back from a place I genuinely didn't think had exits. By the time we get to episode 6, you're going to understand not just who I am, but how I became her. And you might even recognize pieces of yourself along the way. So buckle up, babe. Season 1 isn't soft, but it's honest. It's real, and it's the beginning of something you're not going to forget. Welcome to Uncuffed the Collective. Let's get free. All right, y'all. That's it for today. If something in this episode made you feel seen, understood, or just a little less alone, good. That's the whole point. Thank you for letting me be part of your day. Whether you're driving, folding laundry, hiding in the bathroom for 5 minutes of peace, or just trying to breathe. This is Uncuffed the Collective, created, written, and spoken by me, Ashley. A single mom, a survivor, and your unofficial emotional support cousin doing life out loud. Before we go, our theme song, Time, is by my son and my bonus son. Proud is an understatement every time that beat drops. And if you heard something today that stirred something in you, a memory, a fear, a damn that's me, I put nationwide addiction, trauma, and abuse support resources in the show notes. Help is real, and it's bigger than just one city, one story, or one moment. If today hit home, subscribe, follow, or share it with someone who needs a little truth told with love. You can find me on Instagram at officially_uncuffed. And everything else, updates, links, the whole ecosystem is all in my bio. Until next time, stay soft, stay solid, stay unapologetic, and stay uncuffed. I'll see you in the next one.